walk with me.
I made haste and delayed not to keep thy commandments. The bands of the wicked have robbed me, but I have not forgotten thy law. At midnight will I rise to give thanks unto thee because thy righteous judgment. I am a companion of all them that fear thee, and of them that keep thy precepts. The earth, O I am, is full of thy mercy. Teach me thy statutes. Thou hast dealt well with thy servant. O Yahweh, according to thy word, teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I have believed thy commandments. I was afflicted and went astray, but now have I kept thy word. Thou art good and doest good. Teach me thy statutes. The proud have forged a lie against me, but I will keep thy precepts with my whole heart. Their heart is fat as grease, but I delight in thy law. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver. Thy hands have made me and fashioned me. Give me understanding, that I might learn thy commandments. They that fear thee will be glad when they see me, because I have hoped in thy word. I know, O Yahuwah, that thy judgments are right, and thou in faithfulness hast afflicted me. Let, I pray thee, thy merciful kindness be for my comfort, according to thy word unto thy servants. Psalms chapter 60 through 77. Psalms chapter 119, chapter 60 through 77. Yes. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my seed forever, that we go not astray henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Those of you on this platform and shared platforms, you want to know one thing. Why are you here? Why were you born? Why did you come to earth? Let's say that much. Why did you come here? What's your prognosis? You say to praise and worship God. Did you not know that the laws, commandments, and statutes of the Most High were written back before the flood? They were just reissued to by the Most High to the children of Israel in order to establish a people that would be an example unto the world. That much we know. But then in your New Testament, he says, I am come to fulfill the law. You are born. You have come to fulfill the law, not to do away with it. This is what they were saying. This has nothing to do with this, whoever they're referring to. But there was a man somewhere down the line that was born that iterated this to the people, that reminded people, you are here to fulfill the law, commandments, statutes, and ordinances of the Most High. They just shortened it and prettied it up and made it just for him, so that you would have no excuse, so that you would just sit up there, and so we can say, well, he paid it all. Your little song in your little Christian church, oh, Jesus paid it all. No, he didn't. You have to pay for your own. My. And then we get to the point where we say, it's not our fault. God shouldn't have put us here. God put you here for a purpose. We're just flesh. He's saying you were put here that you might show forth the glory of him who have created you. You were put here that you might fulfill the law, commandments, statutes, and ordinances of the Most High, even his law. This is what I keep telling you. The things that they say that this Isis said, or this man that came, whom they call Isis. A lot of things he might have said But the fact is that they twisted it in order to control you. Then they took him and they owned him. And they made hierarchies after him. And then you have a middleman to God. Then there's a middleman to you. Whether it's a priest, a pastor, your imam, or whoever. There's a middleman to you. Oh, pray for me. Where did that come from? You pray for your own self. Lazy. You change your ways and do that which is right. You were put here to fulfill the law. How thick can we get? But the fact is, with a hand clap of praise, we thank God for those of you who have subscribed and been with us since the beginning. And those of you that have subscribed thereafter and here and there's about, and we thank God for those of you who have just subscribed or followed. And we thank God for those of you that are about to subscribe or follow, calling those things that are not as though they are. Yes. Yes, we certainly give God the praise and the glory for you. You are put here that you might fulfill the law, commandments, statutes, ordinances, judgments of the Most High. And that is our test. We're going to be bombarded with all kind of false doctrines, false historical accounts. We don't care about the historical accounts. We know that we're put here to fulfill the law, commandments, and statutes of the Most High. And none of his commandments, laws, statutes, they're not grievous. And God doesn't even get to the point where he even worry about you. If you're in a situation that he allowed you to be in, that you cannot do these things, then he knows what he's done. He wants to see how far you will go to fulfill what you can do. We can obey all the statutes, all the laws, the commandments of the Most High. We can obey them. We can do it, but we choose not to because it's not convenient for us. It's not convenient. No, it's not. Not according to, you see the world, they pop. We can dance. We can drink. But God gives you certain things to look at as far as wisdom. Drunkenness. The things that you would do because of drunkenness. Yes. We can hold a wife or wives. Yes. There's no law against that. We can go out into our armies and defend our people. We can defend ourselves. And we can avenge. Or employ someone to avenge. We can take one and we can bring them into servitude because of their thefts, or bring them into servitude if they cannot pay because they have injured. See, today's laws tell you, and especially here what I'm familiar with, is that the government gets everything. The government gets all. They steal your stuff. They break in your house. They take them to jail. They make them work as servants to corporations and stuff. But what do you get? No, you have to get insurance. Come on here. Think. They read this Bible. They are well versed in this Bible. They're well versed in the book of Enoch, Jubilees, Jasher. They know all the Apocrypha. They know these things in these business world. They know how to maneuver around you, to you, and through you. But you don't have a clue. Even their supervisors don't have a clue, but these higher-ups know what they're doing. They're not stupid. Matter of fact, they are the ones that really are studying. They come from another land that was instituted in 1948, many of them. Some of them come from the other one, from a hierarchy of so-called very religious people who are in orthodoxy. They have started from children. And these are employed even by corporations and stuff to know how to appeal to the religious, the wicked, and the righteous. So the only thing you got to go by is the statutes, laws, ordinances, the commandments of the Most High. You have no other thing you can do. One true statement is that you wrestle not with principalities and power, but with dark spirits that rule these people. Now, we're in the book of Oshea. You know it as Joshua. Or you can say Oshea. because there was no J. And it says Moses said, I believe the 31st chapter of Numbers says Oshea, but Moses called him Oshea, but they put the J on there. There was nothing else ahead of it, apparently, because of what his father called him. But what the religious hierarchy did, in order to trap you and sort of have ownership in this thing, they put a J on it. But nevertheless, we are in the 10th chapter of Joshua. Yes, the 10th chapter of Joshua, or Oshea, or Oshea. Yes. Now, we already know they had took over AI. And we know in verse 9, Gibeonites fooled them and they made promises that they shouldn't have promised. Now we're in chapter 10. It says, now it came to pass when Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, that wasn't the name of it. See, there's that J again. And they heard how Oshea, or Joshua, had taken Ai and had utterly destroyed it, and he had done to Jericho and her king. So he had done to Ai and her king. Now the inhabitants of Gibeon had made peace with Israel, and were among them that they feared greatly, because Gibeon was great as one of the royal cities, because it was greater than Ai, and all the men thereof were mighty. Therefore Adonizedek, king of Yasharal, or Jerusalem, sent unto Hoham, king of Hebron, unto Piram, king of Jarmuth, and unto Japhia, king of Lachish. This is all written in the book of Jasher, saying, come up to me and help me, that we might spite Gibeon, for it hath made peace with Joshua and the children of Israel. Therefore the 5 kings of the Amorites, and of the kings of Jerusalem, and the king of Hebron, and the king of Jarmuth, and the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon, gathered themselves together, and went up in all their host, and encamped before Gibeon, and made war against it. And all the mighty of Gibeon sent unto Joshua to the camp of Gilgal. You got to realize the Gibeonites were servants. These Canaanites were servants to Israel, to draw wood and water. That's one less thing the servants, the children of Jacob, even had to do. And even for the temple, nobody had to lift a finger for that. They had servants because of the deceitfulness they had done. Now, and the men of Gideon sent unto Oshea to the camp of Gilgal, saying, slack not thy hands from thy servants. Come up to us quickly, and save us, and help us, for all the kings of the Amorite that dwell in the mountains are gathered together against us. So Oshea, even Joshua, ascended from Gilgal, and he and all the people of war with him, and all the mighty men of valor. And the I said unto Oshea, fear not, fear them not, for I have delivered them into thy hand. There shall not a man of them stand before thee. Now Oshea therefore came unto them suddenly, and went up from Gilgal all night. And the discomfited them before Israel, and slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them along the way that goeth up to Beth Horon, and smote them to Ezekah, and unto Makkedah. And it came to pass, as they fled from before Israel, and were going down to Beth Horon, that the cast down great stones from heaven. Now, you also have one Islamic, or should I say Muslim, thing in the Quran that says that the birds, while they was going against the Christians, the birds dropped rocks on the Christians or their enemies. Now, I said to myself, now, could this not be they've taken this but used instead of God, they said birds? Something to be proven. But either way, he said, and they died. And they were more which died with the hailstones than they whom the children of Israel slew with the swords. Now, these are angels. God used angels to do this. And that, I don't have to have no proof. I just know what God does by what I read of him. He uses spirits, his ministers, flames of fire. Yes. And then spake Oshea in verse 12 unto the in the day when the delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. He said in the sight of Israel, Son stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Woo! Now, because Oshea, he had no fear, only that fear of the Most High, if he didn't do what he said do, that he would suffer the consequences. He's seen Moses and what Moses suffered just for the minute things that he did after Moses was converted unto the Most High fully. And Joshua, he was mindful to do everything that he was told. He was not in the great status with the I am as Moses was, because there was not a prophet after Moses that even, or before Moses, that was like Moses. Except for Abraham, before Moses, well, after Moses, I'll put it that way. And Joshua returned, and all Israel with him unto the camp to Gilgal. Now, I was in verse 13. The sun stood still. Now, is not this written in the book of Jasher? Hello. So apparently, it's not this written in the book of Jasher. So where did they get this from? The book of Jasher. This is why it's so important you read these books. So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and hasted not to go down about the whole day. And there was no day like that before and after that. The I am hearkened unto the voice of man, for the I am fought for Israel. So you have the book of Jasher, which is the account of the beginnings, the book of Jubilees, the account of the beginnings, and the book of Enoch, the very beginnings. Yes, you have these books. See, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. A lot of the Old Testament that they have wrote and have come from these books. You have the book of Kings. Yes, that was a good book. Yeah, they got that. Then you have the books of the Apocrypha. Yeah, they were separate books. But this book here, Oshea, who was it written by? Somebody that came out of the book of the Wars of the Most High. See, these are the books you ought to seek after, because this is a collected book, but it seems like these books are put together from the books that are ousted because it fits their agenda. The same thing with the New Testament. It's gathered from books written by other people, but the fact is they put it together into a form where it fits their agenda. Control. Let's continue. Marvelous and respectfully. Now, he says, now, and Joshua returned and all Israel with him unto the camp to Gilgal. But these 5 kings fled and hid themselves in the cave of Makkedah. And it was told Joshua, the 5 kings are found in the cave at Makkedah. And Joshua said, roll the great stones upon the mouth of the cave, and set men by it to keep them. And stay ye not, but pursue after your enemies. You remember, the sun is still up to smite the hindermost of them. In other words, God was angry with them. See, your enemies ought to be God's enemies. This is why even in the New Testament, that's one true thing. They didn't sit with sinners. You didn't go to no grills and no bars and stuff like this, and you got a steak cooking on the same grill as with the detestable pork and shrimp and all kind of things that God told you not to eat. You might as well just go ahead and eat that. You must put a difference between clean and unclean, even in this day and time. And they would say, oh, you stuck up. So what? You stuck down because you can't come up. Okay? We can get that attitude too. You ain't got to walk around like what they try to portray to you as Jesus, as this pious, emasculated human being. You be a man. And you be that woman that you should be. Standing on the things that God have told you and promised you and commanded you. So important that you get these books that were written aside from these 66, the Septuagint, Pentateuch, and all these other things. They're written in other books. Even the Ethiopian Bible doesn't even contain those books that a lot of those books that I'm talking about. Read them. This is where they get them from. This is how these books were orchestrated. One reason I know that the book in the law was orchestrated because they didn't know what they were talking about when they said badger skin. How can you say badger skin when I go by the law? God says why would he want an unclean beast upon his temple? Why would he want that? Same thing with John the Baptist. Why would John the Baptist be clean with camel hair all over him? A dead animal, an unclean dead animal. There's one thing that you can use: wood, flax, wool, and linen. These things you can use. But the fact is, linen for the summer, wool for the winter. This is what they did. These were clean things that God allowed. But all that other stuff, lion skin and all that stuff, no, that's not God, according to his law. Now, he said, but pursue after your enemies and smite the hindmost of them. In other words, whatever remains, suffer them not to enter into their cities, for the I am your God has delivered them into your hand. And it came to pass when Oshea and the children of Israel had made an end of slaying them. Oh, they're not like Jesus. They didn't just forgive their enemies even though they didn't ask. How foolish can you get? If your enemy do not ask forgiveness, you don't have to forgive them. If you bring him at fault and he does not forgive you, he does not ask forgiveness, you don't have to forgive him. Oh, I've already forgiven you. You liar. You hypocrite. You do not even go by the things that God have told you to do. If they do not do, that's what you do. They're an enemy. You have no idea whether they're your brother or somebody from afar off. They've set themselves above you and they count you as nothing, and that they will not even repent after what you have told them they did to you. Leave them alone. They come any closer, slap the living daylights out of them. Fair is fair. And God ain't playing, and he ain't effeminate either. Come on here. And it came to pass when Oshea and the children of Israel had made an end of slaying them with a very great slaughter till they were consumed, that the rest which remained of them entered into fenced cities, and all the people returned to the camp to Oshea at Makkedah in peace, and none moved his tongue against the children of Israel. Then said Oshea, open the mouth of the cave and bring out those 5 kings unto me out the cave. And they did so, and brought forth those 5 kings unto him out of the cave, and the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, and the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon. And it came to pass when they brought them out, those kings, unto Oshea, that Oshea called for all the men of Israel, and said unto the captains of the men which went with him, come near, put your feet upon their necks. The same thing with Burkina Faso. Put your feet upon their necks. The same thing with Congo. Put your feet upon their necks. And what else did he say? They come to kill, steal, and destroy. Canaan came in and took a land that God did not give him. And eventually he let his people get to the point where they forgot who they were. And now they come in, oh, God is evil, God is evil. You in a land that's not yours, God is working you out of that land. Trust me. Oh, you had nothing to do with your ancestors that took the land, that subdued the people, killed and maimed and everything they could do and think of because they could. No law, nothing. But oh, it's coming back. You're not my friend, but it's coming back. Whether you black, white, whatever nationality you are, it's coming back to you. And it's coming trifold, fourfold, fivefold. I mean, 1,000 times more than you can imagine. It's coming back. A frightful thing that God will do. And it's working its way up. And you can't even see it. You will never see it until it hits you. Now, let's continue. Respectfully. Now, put your feet on their necks. And they came near and put their feet upon the necks of them. And Joshua said unto them, fear not, nor be dismayed. Don't worry about the blood that spurts out. Don't worry about their hollering or screaming. God that does this thing. Nor be dismayed. They have come to you in the name of God and said you were savages. Yet who were the savages? You've given them food. You invited them in. You caused them to be kings in your land, to be treated with respect in your house. And they turn against you and take your house and tell you you're nothing. A byword, nothing. Be strong and of good courage. I'm in verse 25. For thus shall the I am do to all your enemies, Israel, all your enemies whom ye fight. If you faint not, you have a fainted heart, Jacob. You have an emasculated heart, Jacob. Not all, most. You're scared for your life, Jacob. And it came to pass at the time of the going down of the sun that Oshea commanded, and they took them down off the trees and cast them into the cave wherein they had hid and laid them. And they laid great stones at the mouth of the cave, which remaineth until this very day. We have a long way to go in order to. We have to pray for God to have courage. We have to pray to the Most High to deliver our enemies or His enemies into our hands. We have to pray to God to avenge our enemies. They never will repent. They never will ask you forgiveness. You're still dogs and nothing but just dogs to do what they will at every opportunity. From the southernmost tip of South America to the most tip of Canada. The southernmost tip of South Africa to the tip of Africa. Your enemies still are there. But when you don't cry out to God and you don't seek God and how you shall subdue your enemies and move him out of the way, you're a coward. You can't work alone. You need a group of people. But the fact is that when you get together in his name, one can chase 1,000 and two can put 10,000 to flight. Regardless of what the armament, they can have nuclear bombs, it don't matter. When God is ready, after you suffered a while, God's going to do his thing. He's going to do what he said he's going to do. But now you're in a testing mode that God is sitting there and he's saying, he's looking at your patience. Even in the book of Daniel, patience. Herein is the patience. See, they got that from there. Patience. Blessed is he that waiteth to a certain number of days, says Daniel in the last chapter. They cometh to this certain number of days. And regardless, God is going to raise up a people, small people. It's not going to care about their young, their old, their families. They're not going to care about anything because God is with them. He's going to give them a heart to deliver, and the people will rejoice. And with that, we're going to say, it's commandments, statutes, judgments, and laws and ordinances. With that, you can have peace.
Walk with me.